Good morning. It's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday, and I have a frog in my throat. It just doesn't seem to want to go away this morning. But that's kind of like what happened this morning. I was getting ready to go live, putting all the data in as always. When it just went said no streaming. This is not something about not available. So I had to start all over again because there's quite a bit of data I put in. It was like, okay, it's one of those days. Can't talk properly. I'm a bit tired from yesterday. Yesterday, I was out the majority of the day. A friend and I drove up to Kelowna, which is like just in about an hour and a half from here, and then we had some business that needed to be taken care of, and then we went and for 2 hours visited the triple E system up there. If you haven't heard about that, it's energetic. I tell you, I laid down on this lovely, soft, easy bed with a blankie and pillows, as many as I need, which is more than just one. I must have gone to sleep within 3 minutes, just conked out. And then the EE systems, it is apparently really good for the body and the health and everything else. So we shall see. I had tried another like another system, the same system, but another place locally, and I wasn't happy with it at all and never went back. But this one I will return to. As soon as my friend wants to go back up, I'm there because I conked out for nearly 2 hours, and that's unusual. I just don't sleep like that. In the afternoons, I may have a little nap, maybe. But well, actually, I'm fibbing because I'm lately I have a chair now that I can sit in, and I do go to sleep, and sometimes it's an hour and sometimes longer. But this was really good, and I am a little so today I'm all plugged up. I don't know why. Maybe it got things activated from that ghastly flu stuff that I had. Anyway, today we're talking about the power of thank you. I think it is something that's overlooked, and I know somewhere back a couple of years ago I spoke about it. We have no idea of the power of the thank you. I use it all the time, and sometimes, like everybody else, I forget, and then I'm reminded. I asked today what tarot symbol would represent the power of the thank you. Guess what came up? The Empress, love. I maybe love, respect, because I find the power of thank you when I'm really working in that energy. Life works. And it is something to recognize if it's not working, maybe take a look at what you're giving thanks for. Now, this really works on if you believe in a bigger power. So that's what you're thinking, because it's working with you to create what you want in your life. So first of all, we got to look at how do we put our order in. We've got to be very clear in our mind. We have to have our energy working towards it without any hints of maybe, won't, whatever, and accept that fully. And so then as we put it out, this is our plan, this is our goal, this is our, and now my eye itches, oh man, it's one of those mornings. So we we have our plan and we give it over. Then what you have to watch for is when little things happen in your life, but have nothing related to the goal that you just put in, except when you have it, you want a voice, that's for sure. I thought this would be fine by 9 o'clock in the morning here, but it isn't quite. We'll get there, won't we? And maybe it's like, it's when everything drops down the back of your throat and you get stuck on your voice box. Anyhow, so we give thanks, and we just give thanks by saying thank you. So it's a thought. When you're having a thought, the thoughts are really important because you become aware of that thought. If you've listened to me at all, I'm a real big proponent on what you're thinking. What are you thinking? What are you putting out? Because that is your vibrational rate. And it's very easy to get down. It's very easy to, the sad sack syndrome. Oh, well, everybody else gets this, but I don't, or whatever. And really, it's like taking a look at the number of times in a day that you said thank you is going to make a big difference. So, Empress representing love. We need to have that feeling of acknowledgement. Love is acknowledgement. Love is the feeling of encompassing all and being very, very aware and clear of the direction of where you're heading. I just love it that that symbol came up and it just show me what's the, what's there. And there it is, Empress, the lore of love. So, first of all, one has to be in the habit of watching their thinking, watching their thoughts. And that's where we get lazy. We may watch them for a little while and then we kind of go, oh yeah, well, or whatever. And with that, we don't watch what's going out. And you got to think that your life is a thread. And that thread is composed of your thoughts and, of course, the energy behind the thoughts. So it's like you're creating this thread. A lot of people think, the energies out there are just dumb. Sometimes it feels like it. It's just like it's creating it all and you're just working through whatever. But it's bigger than that. And you have a much bigger effect on that pattern than you ever would realize. So what I found a lot, because I'm like everybody else, I get caught up with what's going on and I forget. Although for many, many, many years, I used to do a list of thank yous when I went to bed every night. So, thank you for this, that, the other. And each time very sincerely from my heart. Then you get out of the habit for whatever reason. Life comes along, you're upset, you're sick, whatever. And then you don't get back into the same routine. But the mental thank yous I've always remembered because that, to me, was sort of the easiest to do in the moment. Life is full of strange little happenings. I did a lot of driving yesterday, and I'm still not at 100% energetically. Anyway, that's that. The temperature making my knee joints ache and stuff like that. Oh, I'm just getting tired of all this health stuff, to be honest. So I'm going to start giving thanks every day for good health. So we've got everything cleaned up. The last 2 years have just been forever, it seems. So I have to give thanks for perseverance, though. Do you have perseverance? Can you keep going when, the chips are down, so to speak, when things seem to pile up, when it seems like, you need energy to do something and it's just not there? Now, yes, I can say, oh, well, look at my age. That's part of it. And yes, that is maybe part of it. But the same point, it's how do we handle things? I always say it's not the event. It's how do we handle the event? What do we do with it? How do we work with it? And that's where the power of the thank you comes along. Whatever comes to you, I find that there needs to be some level of thankfulness about it. So there's another word to add to thank you, thankfulness. How thankful are you? Some things I'm not that thankful for. When I try to get up in the morning and my knees don't work, it's like, oh, here we go again. I know it's an inversion upstairs in all the clouds and things, but it's like, just to remind me that these old sports knees, don't like certain things. Anyway, a little off traffic. Sorry if I'm a little bit scattered this morning, but I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. By the time I got home, I was quite wired. And 6 o'clock came and go. No, it wasn't. 7 o'clock, my alarm went off. Seems to come fairly early. But anyhow, that's life. So what are we giving thanks for? I don't know why this morning it said, it wasn't going to stream. I kind of had a moment's panic and I went, well, okay. So obviously I need to put something else in here or say something else or do something different. But we got through this time. And of course, Wednesday mornings, based on last Wednesday, which again, I apologize for the horrible noise when I had to cut it off because of the alarm system in the apartment, but never, ever has gone off at that hour because they tested the first Wednesday of every month. So I still have to find out if that is planned so early. So to see whether I'm going to have to change the time of it because I'm not having anybody have to listen to that squeal. It's not pleasant on the ears at all. And I honestly did not give a thank you for that. Because I didn't see how it added to any of us. But it's really about understanding that the universe is always responding to you. So when you get angry, when you get mad, and when you swear away about this, that, and the other and put it down, it's aware of that too. It's not like it's selective, it's like it is accumulating. So sometimes when life comes along and, the old say it seems to deal up things that we don't particularly want to have dealt up, but it does. It's like, where did this come from? Where, whatever. It's like it's an opportunity for you to be able to embrace again the love. Oops, that's light's too bright there. The love pattern, to embrace that and to say, what are you going to learn from it? What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do to create it? How, the resolution of it. And very often it is something that you don't particularly want to do. Like, I'm not sometimes very brave about certain things. Like, okay, I'm going to, because it just brings my, I have spent 3 years actually on a situation with PayPal and TomTom. And anyway, it's been over 3 years. And every time I try to contact them, I get nowhere. And then I lose interest. And then another year has gone by, and then the same thing begins to happen again. And so consequently, it's like, oh, here we go again. So I was thinking this morning, if I'm talking about the power of the thank you, what is the power of the thank you playing here? I probably have never thanked the universe for this frustrating situation that I have. I only get angry at how this whole thing every year when it comes up, and I have a charge taken off that doesn't have any relevancy, and I can't get hold of them. They say go to the resolution, and now this is interesting. Go to the resolution center. So I put in everything that they say, and blank wall. Try to get to a person, you get to an automated computer, end up with a blank wall because it's not a regular request. Anyway, so I'm telling myself now, as I'm telling you, that I need to move into thankfulness of this. Because yes, it's certainly showing my frustration. Yes, it's annoying. Yes. And I have been working this year determined to persevere through with this. So last night when I got back home, which was getting on, and I sat down at the computer and I found some addresses, absolute email addresses. Nope, won't accept it. So there's like a whole lot of stuff that you can say thank you to that is irritable to you. But remember the love vibration that is behind everything. Remember that is acknowledgement, not only for your self-love, but for the love of the situations that's always there to show you something. Maybe you don't handle things when they don't work well. I have a tendency to be a bit like put my head in the sand and figure it'll go away or something. I don't know. And of course it doesn't. If anything, it gets bigger because you get more frustrated. We are feeling peoples. Let me go back to some of the basics that I often talk about. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is an emotional planet. We are learning and being and with emotions. Now, feelings are a little different than emotions. We have feelings that move through. Feelings is how our body talks to us. Emotions are bigger, they're stronger, and they don't always just go away. So it's like having to deal with all these feelings and what's happening. As I say, the feelings to me is when our body talks to us. It's telling you don't like this. This is not the way we want it. This is feeling a little unsettling, whatever. And you can usually work that through, because once the body hears what you're saying, it settles down. When you ignore it, it pushes harder to no. So the feelings can go to emotions at that point. So learning to say thank you for in relation to the feelings, learning to say thank you for situations that come up that don't work very well, maybe teaching you patience, maybe teaching you an awareness of other people's situations. I deal with other people's situations a lot in life, and it's like you learn. I have learned over the years a lot from the consultations I've had to do for other people. So there's a thankfulness in the journey. What is your journey? Like if you're at all, and I'm taking most people are into metaphysics here. What's your birth path? I don't, the astrologer, get into astrology, find a good astrologer. Um, I, I tell the story is I studied astrology for 3 years and then said, because my husband at the time was into astrology, my daughter was excellent because she also had the intuitiveness as well. I suddenly, after 3 years, said, this is not for me. I am an intuitive. I am not a mental person because when you're doing astrology, you're working out all the bits and pieces. And it drove me crazy because I would forget. I would like, well, what is that? And I would intuit it. So I went, no, I'll go back to my tarot. Thank you. That's where I'm going to be and how I'm going to work and that's why we have this wonderful Empress. Once I keep it out of the light, love this card. Love. So how do we represent love? How do we show love on the mental level, which I'm always interested in, is through the power of the thank you. Thank you for what is occurring, even if you stub your toe and it hurts, because there's a reason why you stubbed your toe, because you weren't in your body, and you weren't paying attention to what was around you. Because if you're like me, you're up here somewhere in your head, figuring something else out and not noticing your environment. And you need to be aware of your environment as to what's going on. So if you trip on something, if you bang into something, I mean, there's many things that can happen. If you just take a second and say thank you, because it's made you aware of the situation. We live in ignorance. And the key is not to be in ignorance, but the acceptance that no matter where we look, no matter what happens, this planet, I'll call it I'm just learning a mental check with myself here. This planet loves us, welcomes us, loves us, wants to aid and support us as much as possible. The universal energy that comes from that around, which we name all sorts of names. Some people call Allah, some people call God, some people call Jesus, some people call angels. It doesn't matter to me. I know what I relate to inside. What do you relate to? What do you see as the power that is behind all this? There is a design. You're creating a design by how you think, by how you decide, and of course, how you feel. So I'm going to put out a little challenge to myself as well, because it kind of had a wake-up call about this as I take a sip of water here. I'm going to put a little challenge out. See how many times a day a situation comes up and you just do a mental thank you for that. No judgments, no beating, self-beat. We don't do self-beat when you're in love with the loving force. You just say, thank you. Sometimes it's an awareness thing that happens. It's like, as I say, an environment. Like if I don't always know where my feet are anymore, and they'll hit something. And it's like, I forget to say thank you for reminding me to keep going, figure out where my feet are and where they're going. And because it's hot here right now, I'm barefooted the majority of the time. And so, it's very easy for your feet to get not being where you are. Or this elbow, which is still not working right, but I'm going to see the movement arthritis therapies today, is that it's like I'm using it a lot. So I'm being more and more thankful. I'm not saying it's moving where I want it to be a lot, because I still can't, no earrings yet. But it's like a thank you for whatever it is that's being offered. The power of these two little words, thank you. Giving thanks. It's not just for one day on a year where people go to church. If they've got religious things to do, they go and give thanks for everything. The Harvest Festival, the Thanksgiving, all of that. No, this is for every day, And even if you don't do it throughout the day, just take a moment when you go to bed and think of the things that have happened, both plus and minus, and just give a little mental thank you to that. Because it's a healing type. It's a healing element of recognition that we attract these things into our lives. And that's what we forget. We're like a magnet, attracting what's going on, what's happening. Do you know how many times when I can be driving and I'm not to me, but around me, and I just give a thank you right there, because I know if it was a few seconds difference, it could be a lot different. You all have, some people call them guides, some people call them guardian angel. My dad, his mother was a medium and very, very connected to metaphysics. Died when he was 11, but he believed in his guardian angel, absolutely believed in his guardian angel. And I got that from him, that I didn't really look around for a guardian angel, particularly way back then. But it's like, you are supported. You're not alone. There is energy that will support you, that will aid you, but you need to acknowledge it. Just think, if you're in a relationship and no one says, I love you, or I appreciate you, or something, or you look good today, how do you feel? Sad? Not appreciated? Love. You say, I love you, even when they're mad. Say they love you. Every time you talk to your children on the phone, if they're away, just always end with, I love you. Some way like that, because it makes me tear up a bit. The energy of acknowledgement, that's how we acknowledge. We acknowledge this force that works with us. We acknowledge what we want. And when we sit down to create, we say, thank you for this coming into our lives. We don't know when it's going to show up. We just know it will. And we give thanks for it before it shows up. And that's what makes life exciting. That's what makes life worth getting up for in the morning, so to make sure that I can be on at 9 o'clock, because it says no streaming today. Oh, what? What am I supposed to do with that? I'm all ready to go. Yes. Well, the voice wasn't totally, but I was ready. I also need to say thank you to all the support I'm getting. You have those people who are subscribing, the people who are listening, the people who are sharing, the people who make comments. I appreciate it all the way through. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, yes, right. The power of 3. When you say something 3 times, it increases the magnitude, because 3 is the number of love and the number of creation. But I do appreciate you. And there are times when sometimes, like I've got 3 little, basically, this is my bigger show right now. This is where I speak. This is where I talk, have my philosophy go out. Then we look at Sunday. I just have usually it's around 10 minutes, little thought, sometimes kind of concentrating on one little subject. And then Monday night doing my mental mind treatments. And I want to thank everybody for that. The Monday people know that I was a little bit, I think I was just overtired, a little bit irritable a couple of weeks ago. And anyway, something triggered me a little bit. But forgiveness is a large part of thankfulness. Forgiveness means that when somebody isn't living up to your expectation, that you can forgive them for being human. Forgiveness is part of the thank you. It feels like it's different, but it isn't, because it's acknowledgement. When we say thank you for something, a thought, a feeling, a situation that's come into the life, we're acknowledging it. And when we acknowledge whatever's going on, it's like the universe hears. And when the universe hears, it becomes more and more supportive. And all of us need that support. Life is funny right now. It goes in a whole lot of different ways. But you have a secret now. And the secret is not only just that loving things in the universe, I've got to go this way, this way. Not only knowing things in the universe that are working on the love force, but the power of the thank you is simple, easy to do, can be done in any minute, any second, any awareness. But that I'm going to call it universe, but the universe hears and makes the next step easier. Makes it, or I have to qualify. Sometimes what happens when you say thank you for this, it seems like it gets worse, like something else will happen. It's bigger. And that's because you got to know that there. It's like you start off at, say, A, and you move to B, and you move to C, and it can get a little hectic, a little heavier, but just know you're on the track. You know you're doing it absolutely correct. You just say thank you. Thank you for this experience. Thank you for this knowing. Thank you for this learning. And pretty soon that pathway clears. Now, I have spoken it from time to time on some of the miracles that occurred in my life. Just little ones when life has been really weird and I've had a block. And then all of a sudden a miracle occurs. Now, my people also say, well, I guess you can somehow create miracles. Don't ever underestimate the power of the thank you. Often I didn't even realize I was just kind of plodding along, but I was still aware of being thankful for what was making my days a little better, a little more fruitful. And all of a sudden, miracles happened. When I want something, it shows up. And it's like having a direct line into that law of love that says, okay, this is what you require now. And sometimes what you require isn't what you think. Sometimes it's different. And it's hard to say thank you for something that you don't think is what you want. But I found whenever I've said thank you for whatever, it doesn't mean 2 minutes later, but things begin to open up. And then the key is to then, from the thank you, to be open to alternatives. Be open. So that's my talk today. And I trust it's lovely weather where you are. I know I have to go out and water my plants because I wasn't home all day yesterday and it was a very hot day here. So I haven't even looked out the window at the poor plants, but they're going to get water in a few minutes. I also want to acknowledge Yvonne. Often she's come in late and I don't get to acknowledge her. And she wrote the comment, using lots of perseverance now, endless, didn't quite get that word, tending and raking and baling hay, putting away only 13 acres. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine it. Thank goodness I am so capable and have good friends to help. Yes, she has horses and she helps people through with her horses. That's wonderful. Thank you, Yvonne. And I'm glad you didn't wait till the last minute to put your comment in because sometimes I've missed saying thank you. John, as always, thank you for all you do. And I appreciate your acknowledgments. And Khalid, he's the first time here on my talk, and he calls me sweet and lovely mom. That's because I'm older. And I'm trying to think, my birthday is actually on a Monday in a couple of weeks, and I'll be doing mental mind treatment. So that's going to be interesting, isn't it? See what comes there. And Marion says, thank you for all your wisdom. And I thank you for your friendship and your companionship. It's everything else. So I'm going to say bye. It's a lovely day. So Wednesday, go out and have fun. And remember, just look, how many times can you say thank you in the next 24 hours? How many times life surprises you, adds to you? Maybe it doesn't add to you, but something comes by and you're aware of it. Just say thank you. That's all you have to do. I thank you. Blessings. I'll see you Sunday.